If you had an extra $30,000, $50,000 and you wanted to get into flipping, where do you start? It's hard to get into something that you're not really familiar with. I am no expert at this. I'm just gonna give you my experience. One day I had an extra $50,000 and I decided that I was gonna take that and start investing in something to do with real estate. And I didn't know what to do. I started looking around, I got on Zillow sites, I started talking to the real estate agent that I had. She started taking me around to all these places, and everything that she found was a dump that was for $50,000. I was a little saddened by it. I got a little bit discouraged, I guess you could say. And I really wanted to figure out what the best thing that I could do to take this $50,000 and make something out of it flipping. So what I did was, and this is just my experience, and hopefully it could help you in whatever you're doing. I started going to REIA meetings, real estate meetings. You can look them up on BiggerPockets. You can find them through that. There's all kinds of sites that you can go to and just look up these REIA meetings and find out where groups are meeting during the week to teach you more about real estate and investing. One of the things that I found out through these meetings, I met somebody who told me, hey, you're not gonna find very many good deals on the MLS. And this is why. The MLS is an awesome tool to find houses. Obviously, it's where real estate agents are able to list a bunch of properties and you're able to go in there. But the problem is once it hits the MLS, say it's a $100,000 house, all right? It hits the MLS, you go in there, you look at it, you wanna put an offer on it. By the time you put an offer on it, guess what? 20 other people have put offers on it as well. And then you're into this whole bidding war, and it just gets to be a situation where you're not getting a good deal on this place. So going back to the $50,000, if you had a $50,000 to spend on, and you wanna get started in real estate, what I would suggest is to start reaching out to other people. I'm gonna tell you about a flip that I did that's actually one of my favorite flips. One of my favorite flips, it was a flip that a friend told me about. She had a friend who was living in a rental property and who was renting a house from a landlord. And the landlord in December, on December 1st, told her, hey, you've got to get out. You have to get out of here because I'm getting foreclosed on. And you have to be out before Christmas. So can you imagine like living in this house, renting a house, Christmas is coming up and you've got presents to buy, you've got stuff all over the place, and your landlord comes in and says, hey, you need to get out. This is what happened to her. So my friend came to me, who's friends with her, and said, what can you do? I called her friend and I said, hey, can I have the number to your landlord? I ended up calling her landlord and saying, what's going on? You know, I would like to get into flipping houses. I've done a couple here or there throughout the last few years, and I would like to help you out. I've got a little bit of cash. I've got, $50,000 or whatever I had. I want to get into this, and how can I help you? Well, it turns out that he owed about $130,000 on this house still. It was a little townhouse. If I fixed it up, it would take about $30,000. I could sell it for $210,000. At the time, the comps were only at, on the MLS, the comps for all the other houses in the area that had sold were only at $189,000. But I thought, well, I could probably make a little bit of cash because I'm getting it through somebody who's not, I'm not going through a real estate agent, so I'm not having to pay any kind of commissions or anything like that. So what I did was I just went in, found out what his payoff was, and I went back to my title insurance company. We did the title work, and I was able to make his payoff. And I told him, I said, if you sell it to me instead of letting the bank take it into foreclosure, I'll give you $5,000 at closing. So that was his little piece of candy. He really wanted to sell that to me because he got $5,000. He could walk away with the $5,000 in his pocket. Whereas if it foreclosed, he'd have nothing. So I went in there, bought the house, flipped it, and guess what? The market picked up, and what happened was I was able to sell the thing for $210,000. I bought it for $130,000 plus the $5,000 in that guy's pocket. So I was all in at $135,000, and then I put the repairs into it. And then of course, you know, that's only the front end. You have back end costs as well. So once you purchase a place, you're paying commissions maybe, unless you do it that way. If you get it off the market like I did, which is my favorite way to get properties, because I just don't like going into an MLS deal and having a million other people jacking up the price, and then you don't get the place for what your profit margin should be. So I was really excited about that place because what ended up happening was we bought it for $135,000, put $30,000 into it, and then it ended up selling for $210,000. That was my first really exciting deal. That is what really got me into wanting to start doing more volume. And I had been flipping for about 10 years before that, but up to that point, I really didn't have the passion, and I really didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with flipping. But once I saw and I got a little taste of what it was like to get a property off market before it went into all this competition, once I got that taste, I wanted more. So I set out to find ways to get properties without going through the MLS. Now, does that mean that I don't use an agent? No, I still have an agent, and if you have somebody, you need to find an agent. If you have somebody that you like, keep using them. Because I do still find some properties that aren't online. So going into that deal with only $50,000, I had to figure out how to close the deal at $135,000, and it needed to close in 30 days. So what I did was I ended up doing a little bit of research, talking to a bunch of friends, looking into a bunch of hard money lenders, and my friends I call private money lenders, and then online sources that are people that just want to come in and lend you money for like 10% interest or more. And those people, and they want to charge all kinds of, I call them junk fees. My friends that want to help lend to these projects, I guess you could say, they'll come in and they'll lend for no junk fees. I can close a deal on a flat 10% loan. And that means, so basically I do a 12-month term with my friends, and I have them do they lend to me at 10%, and then they end up making money off the deal too. So that's really cool for if you have somebody who's trying to get into real estate and they don't quite know what to do. Say somebody has $50,000 but they don't want to take the plunge. They can actually lend to you, and they can help you to grow the business, and they can kind of see what you're doing and watch the steps that you're doing so that it's not quite so dangerous for them. In their mind, a lot of people get stuck on feeling like a lot of people get stuck on fear. And fear is a huge factor for a lot of people when it comes to real estate. One, fear is like not knowing. People are afraid of the unknown. And for people that have these 9-to-5 jobs every day, which is a lot, most of us have come from that. We've been there. All of us have been there at some point. You know, it's scary to step aside from that and start putting all of your hard saved money that you've worked so hard for over the years and just dump it all into one project that could go south. And so what I would suggest is, if you're ready to start flipping, go ahead and take that money and start doing it. The money will be secured in the real estate. It's safe. I mean, when you buy something, unless we see another recession like we saw in 2008, and this is just from my own experience, and you know, it is going to happen. We're going to see more recessions, but nobody knows when it's going to happen. I guarantee you, well, I can't guarantee you because I don't really know, but you know, there's a lot behind it. If you invest in real estate, you're going to be pretty safe. I feel like my money's safer in real estate than it is in a bank. I'm making more, I'm getting more returns, and I feel like if it's in that property, real estate's always going to hold a value. So say I buy a flip property at $100,000, and I've got one right now that I've got at $100,000. I got it for $97,000, right? I'm gonna put $35,000 into it. It's gonna sell for $200,000. To me, that's a no-brainer. All right, even if a recession happened and I fix this place up and it won't sell at $200,000, guess what you do? You just turn around and rent it, and then you get passive income. So it's pretty awesome. Like, there's a lot of things that you can learn through over the years as you flip. You just have to take the plunge. I was talking to a guy the other day. He came over with his wife and we were just eating dinner, we were having fun, and he wants to get into flipping. And he was picking my brain, and I was telling him all kinds of cool things, and he was excited and I was excited because this is what I'm passionate about. And he said, I'm just so scared that I'm going to lose everything. You know, he's been working his whole life on projects. He's a 9-to-5 job. He is in his 60s and he's scared. He's worked this hard up through his life and he's got all this savings, and now all this hard work, he's gonna go dump it into a flip. And what if he doesn't know what he's doing? Well, that's where I was talking to him about different steps that he could do. I told him, first of all, you've got to take the plunge. There's no other way that you're ever going to start investing in real estate or do anything with flipping if you don't take that step. That is the first step. And he said, well, I've got to find other sources of money. He's got a hard money lender set up for himself. He's got a credit line on his house that he's working on. And he wants to fund this all himself, which is fine. Because if you're just doing one flip, I think it is perfectly fine I've done one flip, I've done 2 flips at one time. Right now, I'm doing 12 flips at one time. So when you're doing 1 or 2 flips at a time and you have the money to do it yourself, do it. Because you're gonna save money. If you don't have to pay somebody interest rates and things like that, and you can go in there and flip these houses, you're gonna make a lot more return on your investment. If you're trying to do volume, where you're just trying to go in and do 10 flips at a time, all the time, like, you know, there's some people that wanna do consistently 5 flips a month, all right? I would suggest finding a lender, somebody that can help you with that. So my friend that came over for dinner, after talking for a few hours, he's really excited. He is going to take the plunge now, and we're gonna just I'm gonna help him get started. I told him I will walk him through it. I'll help him, you know, learn from my mistakes, because you know, everybody's gonna fail. That's what this life is all about. We are here to learn and grow, and in my personal opinion, I feel like this life is designed specifically for our growth so that we can learn from everything that we do. So when you're talking about failing, you know, a lot of people, that's what they're afraid of. And that's what I was always afraid of, you know? I mean, it's natural to be fearful of failure. So I had a friend once tell me, you know, I just live the fail fast method. I'm like, what's the fail fast method? You know, like, I don't want to fail. And this is before I changed my mindset about this whole thing. Like, you are going to fail, and there's going to be stuff that you're gonna learn from. And so I said, what's the fail fast method? And he said, fail as fast as you can so that you can get back up and keep going and learn from what you failed from. So I told my friend, I said, that was over at my house having dinner with me, I said, look, just take the plunge and I will help you because I have already failed at several things in this. I've lost $10,000 here, $10,000 there. Is that scary to most people? Yes. That's a big number. And, you know, that could be a down payment for a house. I think one of the most important things when it comes to learning from others and watching people's YouTube videos or even listening to podcasts is to hear what they've failed at, what they've done good. And that way we can learn from them and we don't have to fail as hard or fall as hard.